Good morning and Happy New Year. This is our first meeting of January 2024. It's hard to say, I almost said 2023, but 2024. Starting off a new year, finished up exciting 2023 and looking forward to an even more exciting 2024 with a lot of things on our docket to get done. I will now officially call the January 2nd morning session of the Johnston County Board of Commissioners to order and welcome all of those who are here this morning. We do have a room full. I did want to say one thing we're doing starting off the new year, a little bit different. We have our 6 priorities that the board established, and I will read those right quick, which you will hear scattered throughout our agenda items. But educational funding, infrastructure, financial stewardship, land use, public safety, and the final one is county employees. So a little bit different today. We're going to, as we get into public comment, we're going to recognize some of our new employees as well as some of those who are retiring. So that will be something that will be reoccurring throughout this year to take time to introduce the new ones and welcome them, and also thank those who have served our county well and are now retiring. So we will move on and we will open up with a prayer. I've asked Commissioner Stevens to lead us in prayer, and then we have a pledge that will be led by American Legion Post 518 of Clayton. So if you would, please stand.
Dear Lord, thank you so much for another year. Be with us as we go throughout 2024 to make great decisions for the county. Be with our employees, be with our citizens, Lord, and be with us as we go through this meeting. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. Who would be seated? I know. All right, the first item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda, or are there any changes?
Mr. Chairman, make a motion we approve the agenda as presented.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Agenda is approved. Next up, we have the consent agenda, and we have, it looks like 5 items on that. We have approval of our minutes from November 20th, the 6 o'clock meeting, and from our December 4th, 10 o'clock and 6 o'clock meetings. We have on there public utilities, the 2022 water supply plan approval, appointments to our Johnston County Heritage Commission, and we have 3, 4, 5 budget revisions, and also the tax releases and refunds from November the 16th of 23 to December the 15th of 23. Are there any items on there that need to be removed for additional discussion? Or do I hear approval of the consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approval of the consent agenda, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Consent agenda is approved. All right, we will move on to public comments, and we will first have our County Attorney, Jennifer Slusser, come and introduce our new Deputy County Attorney. First one ever?
Yes, first one ever.
Okay, there we go.
A Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
As you know, Johnston County has contracted for legal services for the Department of Social Services and the Department of Child Support Enforcement for many, many years. And after learning that that contract would not be renewed for the coming fiscal year, the Board of Commissioners and the Social Services Board made the decision to bring those legal services in-house under the supervision of the County Attorney's Office, and we began a transition plan to bring those services fully in-house by June the 30th, 2024. The first step in this plan was to hire a deputy county attorney that is going to be responsible for leading those human services divisions of the County Attorney's Office, and we recruited for that position. And we selected Jennifer O'Connor to serve in that role, and Jennifer is here with us today. while this is Jennifer's first day as an employee of Johnston County, she is not new to the Johnston County team. She has over 25 years of legal experience as a lawyer in Johnston County and has served Johnston County DSS and child support with her former law partner, Andy Holland, for the entirety of her career. And I know that Jennifer is going to do a fantastic job supporting the mission to serve and aid and protect needy and vulnerable children and families in ways that strengthen and preserve families. And I also know she's going to do a fantastic job making sure that children receive the financial support in which they are entitled. So I am thrilled to have Jennifer join us today and wanted to take this opportunity to introduce her formally to you, though many of you already know her, but we are thrilled to have Jennifer with us. And once this introduction is done, she's got to head over to DSS because she's got some cases to staff, but
We don't want to hold her up.
we don't want to hold her up too long. But this is Jennifer O'Connor.
Nice to meet you all. Thank you very much for having me here. As Ms. Slusser stated, I have been doing this for quite some time. It's a passion of mine. I love helping the children and the citizens of Johnston County, and I look forward to taking that endeavor further under the in-home services of Johnston County, and look forward to working with all of you. So thank you very much.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Welcome.
Excited to have you.
Welcome.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I, as a DSS board member, also very familiar with Ms. O'Connor's extraordinary work in that area, and we're just delighted that you're going to be part of the team and continue that good work and work in cooperation with Ms. Slusser. So thank you so much. We'll welcome you.
Thank you very much.
I think it's great we can achieve this kind of continuity in this role. Good.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we'll have our county manager, Rick Hester, introduce another new employee.
Good morning, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I'd like to recognize Paulette Williams. She's our new Director of Human Resources. And as you know, HR is a big function in this county with 1,500 employees, and taking care of them and going through the different things. And she's going to do a great job. Paulette,
She was hiding in the corner.
there she is. So
She's watching all of us.
she's going to do a great job, and I think she would like to also start recognizing as the chairman said, our retirees. So at this point, I'll just introduce Paulette Williams. Paulette.
Fantastic.
All right.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Hester, as well as County Administration and the Board. I look forward to working with everyone and continuing to work with everyone here in Johnston County and serving in this new capacity, so thank you. Like Mr. Hester mentioned, one of the department's goals is really going to be to work with and engage with our employees. We have quite a group of people who are retiring with us that we wish to acknowledge today and then to continue to acknowledge each month thereafter. So we do have some of our employees here today, as well as their respective department heads. If I can just ask those that are in attendance to please stand or feel free to wave. We're going to recognize our January and February this month, and then going forward it'll be one at a time. So for our January retirees, again, if you could just stand or feel free to raise your hand. Our first one is Ryan Benson, and he's with the Johnston County Sheriff's Office.
Fantastic.
Next is our former director, Lou Hickey. Thereafter is Mr. Blaine Hicks with the Sheriff's Department as well. All right, we have Roger Mallon with Solid Waste, Barbara Mitchell with HAP. We also have Helen Newsom with the Health Department, Virginia Singletary with EMS, Wendy Whitfield with DSS, and that concludes our January 2024 retirees.
Fantastic.
All right, and then in February 2024, our retirees are Julie Hart with Child Support, Gregory Lockamy with the Sheriff's Office. There you are.
He's working right now. I don't know where he is yet.
And we also have Miss Bessie Locust with the Department of Social Services. And so this is our January as well as our February 2024 retirees.
And I would just say thank you for all that you've done in your careers. here in Johnston County, serving the people and serving them well. So thank you for your service and enjoy your retirement.
Just give my hand.
Yeah, yeah. Let's do it. I think it's picture time too, so I think, did any of the board have any other comments?
I just hate to lose all this good talent.
Yeah, come on up, we'll take a picture. Yeah, there you go, there you go. Yeah. That's right. We're gonna move the podium, what are you talking about?
So Mr. Benson makes me feel my age because I graduated from high school with Dad.
A little more special. Perfect. All right. I'm just going to take just a few. Like this. All right. Perfect. Thank you all.
All right, thank y'all.
Y'all.
Thank you.
Give them just a second to clear the room. Mr. Hubbard, are you going to make the next introduction?
Sir?
Are you going to introduce Josh?
Absolutely.
All right. Oh, come on up here. All right. Come on up here.
That was the plan all along.
Somebody is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I guess you got Josh and Ronnie.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay, we good? All right.
Rolling.
Thank y'all. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yes, look forward to another great year in Johnston County. Thank you for this opportunity. I'd like to introduce two of our folks in emergency services. Our Deputy Director, Mr. Josh Holloman, if you would come up, please. And one of our Deputy Fire Marshals, Mr. Ronnie Cribbett. And Ryan, would you come up as well, please? Johnston County is, and particularly Johnston County Emergency Services, is being noticed across the state for a lot of great things that we're doing here in the county and here in emergency services. And a lot of our folks are serving on various boards for the state and are achieving certain credentials across the state. And both of these folks represent two of those things. Josh is our, forgive me, Josh, you want to explain it? Make sure I don't miss it.
Sure. I was elected to be the vice chairman for the North Carolina Association of EMS Administrators, which will be a 2-year term, and then I'll do 2 years as the chairman. So honored to represent Johnston County in that role.
Awesome.
Well, that's
Which
fantastic.
Josh does a very good job of.
Absolutely.
Johnston County. We're very happy about that. And Ronnie, you want to tell them about your new credential?
I received my fire marshal designation. Through the Center of Public Safety Excellence.
Fantastic.
All right. Congratulations.
And we have several members of our department in the Fire Marshal Division who are working to those credentials. Recognized Sandy Wood last month for her being on one of our state emergency management boards. So thank y'all for the opportunity to let these folks do those things. And they're doing a great job representing Johnston County and Johnston County Emergency Services.
Fantastic. Thank you for the work y'all are doing. Great
Yeah,
job.
thank you.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
And next up, we have Michael King, Town Administrator. There he is, for Princeton. He has an introduction for us.
Good morning, Board. Happy New Year. Most of you know me, Michael King, Town Administrator for the Town of Princeton. I just wanted to bring our new Mayor, Mayor Stacy Johnston, in and introduce him, put a face with him, and we look forward to working with you in 2024.
Fantastic.
Great.
Good morning, Board.
Good morning.
Congratulations, Mayor.
I just want to say I look forward to working with y'all and, hope we can do some good things for Princeton and this county while we do it. And if you ever need me, please let me know.
Fantastic.
All
Congratulations.
right. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
All right. One other item before we get to the traditional public comment. Chief Chris Ellington, Cleveland Fire Department, is going to update us on our countywide fire service district.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I had the privilege to come back in November and review the fire service strategic plan with you, and go through the steps, what we call our roadmap on where we want to see fire service in Johnston County. Today, I'm requesting to move forward to our next step. Our next step deals with our first goal, which is to provide a standard of funding avenue of all Johnston County fire departments that will support a reasonably equal fire service. And the first thing we need to do with that is we need to move forward with some direct mailers. We need to move forward with some public hearings or just informational sessions throughout the county. What we're doing is we're trying to move to a common service district countywide, but that tax will be assessed much like the general fund tax would be. Working with county staff and the fire service leaders of the county, this is the next step we need to take to make this process work and create a common fire tax across the board. So that is what we're requesting this morning, is to move forward that next step.
Okay.
All right. And we don't need to take a vote, but just continue on with updating and implementing that plan. Okay.
And it's just kind of a head nod that we're moving in the right direction, and we're doing what you're directing us to do. So, all right.
All right. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks for all your work on it, Chief. Thank you.
All right. Now for the more traditional public comment. Is there anyone here for public comment this morning? Seeing no one making a move to come forward, Madam Clerk, were there any emails? Okay, so no emails. So we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is a public hearing for the Economic Development Incentive Grant, Project Red River. I will now open that public hearing and call on Chris Johnston to come forward to explain the purpose of the public hearing and introduce any company representatives that are here today.
Good morning, county leadership. With the new year comes exciting opportunities for Johnston County. 3 years of continuing to lower the tax rate for all businesses and citizens and accomplishing a AAA bond rating during this same time is no small feat. And with the continued goal of encouraging capital investment and creating high-paying jobs here at home, as I've stated, our green tape and not red tape pro-business leadership that you, the commissioners, provide is recognized across the state and the Southeast. Today's project announcement allows us to meet the needs of our citizens and slowly turn the tide of the 60,000 plus residents that drive outside of Johnston County for employment. It is Scott Industries' desire to invest and build a state-of-the-art Class A manufacturing facility located on I-95 at Exit 90 in the ETJ of the town of Four Oaks. For those that needing a point of reference, this area is located behind the Meharon Fertilizer Facility between the CSX line and I-95. In addition to the over $40 million investment, Scott Industry has the ability and will create over 20 new jobs for the foreseeable future with an average salary of over $60,000. This is $15,000 over the county average. As I've mentioned many times, and would like to reiterate to our tax-paying citizens that no economic development incentive offer that with any economic development incentive offer comes with a no risk to the taxpayers, and that these incentives only come from the county's investment, which equates to a percentage of the taxes that Scott Industry pays on the $40 million of new investment. If the required benchmarks set forth in the agreement are not met, no incentive is given. Again, this comes at no risk to the taxpayers and citizens of Johnston County. As with all economic development incentive grants, it is vetted and approved by the Johnston County Economic Development Advisory Board, a board that consists of 14 business, civic, and community leaders that has representation from every municipality in Johnston County and beyond. As customary, this project and investment projections have also been evaluated by NC State professor and economist Dr. Mike Walden. His report shows that the monetary investment, as well as the jobs and ancillary job growth, is projected to be over $70 million for the county. Again, new investment, no risk. We respectfully ask that the county commissioners consider an economic development incentive grant presented before you and be awarded to Scott Industries. Again, Scott Industries is only eligible after the project is completed and the requirements set forth in the agreement are met. One of which is an EDIG offer by the town of 4 Oaks, as well as voluntary annexation agreements. As County Attorney Jennifer Slusher will cover, and the project checks all the 4 legal boxes about offering an incentive grant. Does it meet the job creation requirement? Does it meet the investment threshold? Does it meet the competition of other locations? And does the project meet the jobs diversification requirement? And the answer to all of these is an undeniable yes. At this time, I'd like to call on Ms. Slusher to present to you the legal language, after which I'll step back up to call on Mr. Perry Harris that represents Scott Industries for him to make a few comments.
Thank you, Chris. Ms. Slusher.
Good morning. I offer for your consideration a resolution authorizing incentives for economic development for the project that is proposed by Scott Industries. That was more particularly described by Mr. Johnston. Attached to the resolution is a draft economic development incentive agreement, and I'd like to review that draft with you. Mr. Johnston talked about the 4 factors that are required in order to grant incentives for a project, those 4 factors being capital investment, job creation, competition, and diversification of the economy. And this project does meet each of those criteria. Scott Industries commits to a capital investment of not less than $40 million to develop, construct, and operate a steel bar and tubing distribution and processing facility in the 4 Oaks area of Johnston County. The employment commitment for this project is 21 jobs, and these are permanent full-time positions or their equivalent, with an average salary of not less than $60,000 with benefits. The capital investment is estimated to be completed by December 2028, and the job creation is expected to be completed by 2026. And I know that sounds a little bit unusual because sometimes those are reversed, but that's because the investment in business personal property is going to continue after those jobs are created. The incentive proposal is a cash grant made in 7 annual payments, which will be made once the minimum capital investment is made, and will only be paid once those ad valorem taxes are actually paid and received for the investments that are on the site. And this grant is for a 7-year period. This grant is very similar to what your standard grants are. For the real estate, it's a stair step over a 7-year period. And for the business personal property, it is at 50% equivalent for years 1 through 5 and 0 for years 6 and 7. If these incentives are granted, Scott Industries must provide certification of the investments and the employment, and the grant payments are conditioned upon Scott Industries paying in full all of its ad valorem tax bills for the year for all property that it owns situated within the county that is subject to ad valorem taxation. Scott Industries must be current on all of its filings for property taxes and can have no pending current appeal with the North Carolina Property Tax Commission. The site cannot be in violation of any county or state regulations, and they are required to follow all county and state rules. The agreement will also provide for recapture provisions if Scott Industries does not carry out and maintain the terms of the agreement. And in thinking about those factors that you must consider in deciding how you'd like to proceed, the job creation is created and is met with those 21 jobs at an average annual salary of not less than $60,000. According to the economic impact analysis by Dr. Walden, the private sector direct and indirect job creation benefits as a result of this investment is substantial. The capital investment does increase the tax base by at least $40 million. And again, according to Dr. Walden, that private sector annual operating impact, taking into account all direct, indirect, and induced impacts from the development, is well in excess of that initial capital investment. The other thing that is important and necessary in making a determination as to whether or not you can go forward is whether or not there was a competitive situation. In other words, but for the incentives that you're granting, Wood Scott Industries have decided to locate in Johnston County. In this particular case, we were competing with several locations outside of North Carolina. The proposed project does meet the county's incentive policies for this type of project, and the draft economic development incentive agreement that you have also meets the policies. And again, this is our standard offer for these types of projects. Final approval has to be made at a meeting that is public and noticed, and that occurred with this project. Or at least the meeting was properly noticed, and we have given notice and according to the regulations. And there has to be a written agreement that governs the implementation, and I have provided you a draft written agreement, and the final terms will be consistent with all of the material terms that we have discussed today. And then, of course, the other factor that you've got to think about is the diversification of the economy piece. And the diversification of the economy alongside that job creation and the increase in tax base is an indicator of that net public benefit that arises from the incentive. And diversification of the economy refers to significant impacts on sectors of the economy or making a location attractive for additional development. This is addressed in Dr. Walden's report, and the direct and indirect impacts on the economy are significant. Importantly, this project does meet all of the criteria should you choose to approve it, and I am happy to answer any questions about the proposed economic development agreement, should you have any.
Any questions for Ms. Slusser?
Thank you.
All right, no. Chris?
I wanted to also point out that the state of North Carolina is participating in this project as well by offering their traditional worker training through the community college system. So we're going to be working obviously with the state organization, but also with the local community college. But at this time, I'd like to call on Mr. Perry Harris, who represents Scott Industries.
Good morning and Happy New Year.
Good
morning.
Good morning.
Robbie Anderson with Scott Industries asked me to come and represent them this morning and read a very brief statement due to the fact that this is January the 2nd, early in the morning. Yesterday was Happy New Year's. He could not be in attendance, so I'm going to read what he has said to me. Good morning, County Commissioners. Please first accept my apologies for not attending in person. As you can imagine, flights the day after New Year are problematic. I hope that you will allow Perry Harris to speak on behalf of Scott Industries and accept this statement letter in my absence. Scott Industries has been reviewing many sites across North Carolina and the Southeast for several years. Without a doubt, the Economic Development Incentive Grant offered by Johnston County played a tremendous role in selecting the site in 4 Oaks for future investment and job creation. We greatly appreciate the pro-business approach and the partnership with our company, and we will look forward to calling Johnston County home. Thank you.
I have a question for Perry. With this out in their manufacturing process, is there any byproduct that would require any special treatment of wastewater or anything like that?
No, sir. They use very little water. This building that they plan to build will be about 100,000 square feet. Chris may answer those questions. They use very little water in their process. The Willy Wonka system uses a computerized system. The way in layman's terms, they build these towers, and they have a computer system which holds their different discs for their different product, and mainly what they're doing, an example I could give you would be they take a piece of pipe or a hydraulic tube and they line it with silver for hospitals, and it's really, they have over the years acquired numerous proprietary licenses. They have patents to produce this. This company third generation, all cash. But no, the very little waste product.
Sounds like high-end technical manufacturing and not rough manufacturing.
That is correct.
Right. Thank you.
So it's pretty exciting. They've looked for, Chris has worked with them for 3 years.
Right.
And I've driven them all over Johnston County, did everything I could to try to get them to buy something, and they chose this spot. I feel comfortable that the study has been done, wetlands mitigation, boring samples, compaction. I mean, they've really done their homework, and I look forward in the coming months. They're looking to find a temporary warehouse to go ahead and start bringing in product here for distribution. Their closest facility is in Talladega, Alabama. They have 12 or 13 distribution facilities similar to this. But they will be manufacturing and distribution. They own 75 of their own tractor trailer rigs. I think the 21 number for employees is low. I think we'll see an increase on that based on what I've heard. So it's very exciting.
Great. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, now, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to comment? Please come forward and state your name and your general location. All right, seeing no one come forward, any closing remarks from here? Or is it over to us? All right. Board, is there any other comments, questions, or is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we adopt the resolution approving the project summary for an economic development incentive grant and authorizing the county manager and county attorney to finalize the corresponding agreement.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on that motion?
You know, this project seems to check off a lot of blocks that we're concerned about. It's along the I-95 corridor. It improves our average wage structure, which is always a good thing, and it's highly technical, so I think it's a good thing.
The other thing I like, it's going to be annexed by the town of Four Oaks, so I think that helps the town's tax basis. So
That's right.
That's a plus for our towns. All right, any other comments? All right, all in favor of the motion to adopt the resolution, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Resolution is adopted. All right, next up, I will call on Mr. Ryan Parker to present a resolution to relocate Boone Hill Fire Insurance District boundary.
Good morning and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Before you, Johnston County Emergency Services staff requests you to consider a resolution and attached map to relocate the fire insurance district boundary line between the Boone Hill and Oakland Fire District per North Carolina General Statute 153A-233. Our proposal is to move this line south from its current position, and the purpose of this request is to increase the insurance district coverage of the Princeton Fire Department, who will provide a medium-duty rescue response and provide first responder coverage to our citizens living within the area. This request will not affect the current service district the current service district. If you have any questions or I'm happy to answer those now.
Any questions for Mr. Parker? All right, hearing none, do I hear a motion to adopt the resolution?
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt the resolution to relocate the Boone Hill Fire Insurance District boundaries.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
This is what was Oakland in the past.
Yes, this will take in a portion of the Oakland Fire District. There'll
That
still be
portion
a
that was in
remainder.
Johnston County.
There'll still be a remainder in Johnston County. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right. Any other questions? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. The resolution is adopted. Thank you, Mr. Parker. All right, next up, we have Mr. Reed Williams to present to us on a request for Four Oaks Industrial Park road project.
Good morning and Happy New Year's, Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be before you.
an exciting day for the town of Four Oaks. New industry and new projects, new roads, infrastructure needed. And I want to thank Chris and his office for the partnership and the hard work they commit to Four Oaks and have with Project Red River over the past couple of years. We're excited to see that come home. You should have before you a project summary on the new road that's being proposed in the Four Oaks Industrial Park. It's a project the town has been working on with state DOT and other secondary sources over the past couple of years. Access, and Chris, I think, can attest to this as well. Access has been one of the strategic weaknesses for the Four Oaks Business Park for some time. And we've been working, as I said, with the partners to try to come to a solution. And that includes private property owners as well. And we have a proposal together and are planning to start construction this spring on that project. You can see we've received funding from North Carolina Department of Transportation as well as the General Assembly. And the town is committed to contributing their own funds as well. And so the requested amount is about $500,000, and that's to the water and sewer portion, to balance out the water and sewer portion of the project.
Mr. Chairman,
yes, sir.
We've discussed this before. I'm ready to make a motion to adopt a resolution approving the allocation of $500,237,000 for the Four Oaks Industrial Park Road project.
All right, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I have one question for Mr. Williams. It's not uncommon for these DOT projects to run over what was expected to cost. How would that be covered if we have cost overruns?
Well, that's a good question. I think if it's road related, the town is committed. I mean, they're borrowing the balance of the money needed to complete the road. I think it would be upon themselves to come up with the additional funds, and I think the water and sewer case, I think, would be a case by case, but depending on how much money, I think, you know, the town, I think, would have to, depending on what the overruns would be, they'd have to determine the best solution there. We certainly hope not to be back before you asking for more money. So.
Any other comments? Well, we'll say this is definitely not the first time we've heard this, and I think the last time the request was made, we kind of sent the folks in Four Oaks back to do a little homework and come up with some other sources of funding, and I think they were successful for both from I think our folks in the legislature in Raleigh from the DOT, and then the commitment of Four Oaks, the town of Four Oaks themselves, to take that $700,000. I think, yeah, $700,000 on there on themselves. So we appreciate that. We look forward to this. Hopefully this will be the final piece, and we can get forward and see Chris and you and others in Four Oaks get busy on getting the folks there in the Four Oaks Business Park. So
yes, sir.
All right. So any other comments? All right. We have a motion and a second. So all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay?
The mayor could not be here, so on behalf of the board, they appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Next up, we have our Utilities Director, Ms. Chandra Farmer, here to present to us regarding erosion control joint resolutions with the town of Archer Lodge and the town of Pine Level. Good morning.
Good morning. The county currently enforces erosion and sediment control for 4 towns. We do this for Benson, Wilson Mills, Archer Lodge, and Pine Level. These are in accordance with previously approved joint resolutions. These agreements all renew on a yearly basis, and they allow for termination by either party if a notice is given 4 months prior to the renewal date. In November, we notified the towns of Benson and Wilson Mills that the county would not be renewing these agreements for another 1-year term. So those will terminate on March 31st, 2024. We've also been talking with Archer Lodge and Pine Level And staff at both towns indicated they would support mutual agreement termination on March 31st, 2024 as well. So this would allow us to terminate all 4 programs at the same time, so hopefully there won't be confusion with developers and others within the county, and also it'll allow us to work with the state on a more consistent basis. So we're requesting the board's approval of the 2 proposed joint resolutions to terminate the county's enforcement of these programs for the town of Archer Lodge and Pine Level. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? All right, no questions. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we approve the agreements.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion to adopt the resolutions, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The motion carries. And you have the next item up. We need to come up with shorter titles for your thing. I'm just going to say this is involving the leachate at the landfill, the contract, and budget revisions. So let's go ahead.
The board previously approved a budget, a capital project budget for what we call our 210 wastewater treatment facility diversion projects. This comprehensive project includes several wastewater projects to divert wastewater in order to get it to our new plant when our new plant is online. One of those projects allows the leachate received from the Johnston County landfill to be directed back to our new plant. It currently goes to our landfill equalization facility and to our old plant, but in the future we will pump it directly to the new wastewater treatment plant. We have bid this project. We received 3 bids on November the 30th. And the low bidder was A.C. Schultes of Carolina Incorporated of Rocky Point, North Carolina. Their bid was in the amount of $871,130. We're asking the board to award this project, and we do not need any budget revisions at this time because the budget has been adopted and it is still within the previously adopted budget.
That's nice to have one of those nowadays.
Yes.
The landfill equalization basin, is it going to stay in service?
Yes, so we have an ongoing project there where we are upgrading pumping capacity at that station, so it'll be able to pump to both plants simultaneously, and the basin will be operated as a true equalization basin when we complete construction.
And I think just from my viewpoint in my day job, I know there are other landfills and wastewater treatment plants that are not located so close together.
Right.
So it's a big deal. Do you treat it at the landfill and then pump it somewhere else? So I think we're very fortunate with the situation that we have with the proximity of the wastewater treatment plant, and I'm assuming the PFOA stuff will be part of that treatment at the new plant.
It will in the future.
All right.
Of course, it's better to remove it from the leachate before it gets to the plant.
Yes, yes. All right. Any other questions, comments, or a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to award the Johnston County Landfill Leachate Pump Station project to A.C. Schultes. I would not pronounce it that way, but that's okay. Of Carolina Incorporated, in the amount of $871,130.
I second it.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Not all in favor of the motion to award the contract, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for, I didn't ask that in the consent agenda this local water supply plan be pulled, but I did have one question about that when I was reviewing it. In it, it mentioned 152,000 feet, 30 miles of water lines were added last year. Were that mostly in subdivisions?
Yes, any additions would have been in subdivisions. We had a few capital projects as well. Some larger lines added, but most of those were in subdivisions.
I know in some areas of the county, not very many left anymore, but some roads don't have water on them. And I think at one time maybe we had a waiting list of moving along as we could afford. Any progress on those?
We do have that. We maintain that list. We, at one time, had yearly projects where we did looping lines and we'd try to appropriate some funds. Unfortunately, we were doing about $200,000, $300,000 a year, and it just doesn't get us very far when we do that. we continue to maintain that list, and we're at the point now where most service is very difficult because the roads that we don't have lines on
Right.
are typically very large and have obstacles such as large creek crossings and those kinds of things.
Okay.
So we do encourage customers or residents to call us if they're interested in service to try to be able to maintain that and serve those most critical areas. We've not done a project in a couple of years, but hopefully we'll be able to in the next couple of years.
Okay, thank you. I just had that question, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I did want to follow up, so just to make sure, the lines in the subdivisions are paid by the developer?
Right, the developers
Okay.
pay for all the costs to install those, design, permit, and construct those facilities, and they turn it over to the county for maintenance.
Okay, all right. So next up, I can't remember, do we have a final vote on that one? I got distracted by the question.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, all right.
Yes, sir.
It's the first meeting of the new year, so allow me one right now. All right, next item up is nonprofit agency funding policy. I know this is something this board had brought up probably a year or so ago about a way to formalize the process. I know we had moved in that direction, so I think this is I don't know if it's the final step, but it's the next big step in that direction. So, Ms. Slusser, if you would present that for us.
I agree. It would be the next big step to help us prepare as we move you forward into budget season. Last month, we talked about the details of the proposed policy and those sorts of things, and at that time, I asked you to please take it under advisement as to what you might like to do with the policy. We also provided the draft policy, the draft contract, the draft application, the PowerPoint from last month, as well as the video of the meeting to our nonprofit stakeholders and solicited feedback from them. The feedback that we received was positive with regards to the process. I did want to bring to your attention, I believe you may have received an email about this, but I wanted to make sure that I pointed out we did receive a request from Recovery Alive to consider not having the 3-year requirement. Their organization has not been in existence for 3 years. It will be in August, but as for this budget process and that sort of thing, they will not have been in existence with the Secretary of State for 3 years. And one of the things that they asked is perhaps you think of another standard. For example, what they proposed was organizations that had successfully managed $150,000 or more, even if they have been in operation for less than 3 years. But that was the most specific comment that we received. We also received a few comments, Community Senior Services being one, that sometimes their requests for funding are dependent upon funding from federal and state sources. We completely understand that. That is outside of this particular process. Right. So certainly those types of instances, those would still come to you. This is really to formalize what has been informal for many years. With regards to the standards or the requirements for those submitting applications, it would be staff's recommendation that you keep in place the 3-year rule. And the reason for that recommendation, it provides a bright line rule, and it doesn't require us to exercise judgment in whether someone qualifies or not qualifies. But that would be staff's recommendation. Certainly, whatever you want to do, it's within your discretion. But if you've got any particular questions about the policy or any of the feedback that we received, Mr. Hester, Mr. McClam, and I would be happy to answer any of those questions. But we would like for you to consider adopting the policy. If you adopt the policy, we will then get the information out to the nonprofits before February and ask that those be received back at the beginning of March. So we have plenty of time to vet them and make recommendations to you. But as you know, funding, all funding decisions rest with the Board of Commissioners. We only make recommendations. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, comments?
I got a comment. I thought it was a good move to put this policy in place. It not only helps us in the decision-making process, but it helps all the nonprofits out there know where they stand and what they need to do. I think it's a good move, and I agree with what the staff recommendation is.
Yeah, I think the staff's done a great job in putting together this policy. Mr. Chairman, with that, I'll make a motion that we approve the nonprofit agency funding policy as presented by the county attorney.
I second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? I will say that I think it was Commissioner Smith who brought this up a year or so ago about us formalizing the process, and thank him for getting us thinking that way. And at the end, thanks to staff for working through the details on that, and the nonprofits who have made comments to help us tweak that as we've gotten to this point. So thanks to everyone involved in that. And with that, I will call for a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay?
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you. All right, next up we have our tax administrator, Jocelyn Andrews, here to present our delinquent tax collection report.
Well, Happy New Year, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. It's good to be before you today.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
In front of you, you have the November collections report. I haven't seen December because today's been a busy day, but anyway, we'll have that soon, but as you can see, we are on track in comparison to last year, just slightly ahead of where we were for last year. With it being the first week of January, that brings many greetings from the tax office that people would rather not hear, but anyway. Friday is the last day to timely file all property taxes in Johnston County, and quite frankly, all counties in North Carolina. After Friday night, there is interest added to all of that. We offer multiple ways to pay, and we'll be glad to help anybody if they're having problems with that. Just call the office, and we'll be glad to walk you through that. The other thing is that on Friday of last week, we mailed over 120, almost 130,000 listing forms to businesses and individuals across the county. They should hit mailboxes today based on the calls we're getting this morning. Yes, like I said, greetings from the tax office. But anyway, one of the things that we do offer, we offered for the first time last year, but we're really going to be pushing this year because it seems to be very, very it's an easy way to list your taxes where you don't have to return the actual document itself, but we have online listing now. It's a fairly simple process that you go through, and if anybody's having any problems with that, even though it is relatively self-explanatory and it walks you through the process, we're more than happy to help, and we have staff available to help at any time. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Any questions, comments for Ms. Andrews?
I mailed a check to another county and a check to our county the same day, and the other county's already cleared the bank. Do we have much of a lag? I know we have a collection service in Charlotte that handles this.
Okay, so our lockbox, which is where our bank payments go, and if you're using the voucher on the bottom of the actual bill, that's where it goes, is to Charlotte. I know we've had some issues in prior years with them getting it, and they say they're processing them as soon as they get them, so I don't really have an answer, and I haven't heard any problems over the last few weeks.
That was my real question.
But I think I am going to go find out right quick after we get through with this meeting.
Good.
But if they are mailed directly to us, we're processing them the day we open the mail. So.
Yeah.
It's great to have a good tax department.
Amen.
Thank you, sir. I'll be glad to pass that on to staff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have manager report and comments. Mr. Hester, anything? All right. That leads us to board reports and comments. Commissioner
Got
Godwin.
nothing.
Commissioner Godwin?
I look forward to a very productive 2024.
I do as well.
Absolutely.
Vice Chairman Harris?
No, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Brazel? Want me to come back to you, just in case?
You can come back later.
All right. Commissioner Stevens?
I'm good, thank you.
And I don't have any as well. I know we do have a lot on our agenda for 2024 to get done. We will have our strategic retreat February 15th and 16th in Clayton. So looking forward to that to get us started as we move forward and with, again, all the things on our agenda for 2024. All right. And I don't think we have any need for a closed session. All right, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We're leaving anyway. All right.
you.